Let's get this party started. Oh, right.
Mhm.
Hey, greetings, everyone. Greetings. We are back again at this. Uh, Last night we had Pastor Welton Smith. If you missed it, go back and watch it. Go on YouTube, watch it. Go listen to it on the podcast, on Spotify and Google Podcasts, and the other ones. I forgot the other ones, but those two major ones. Go listen to it on the podcast. Okay, look, it was a blessing upon last night with Pastor Wilton Smith and also my bishop, her grace, Bishop Doris Scott, one of my favorite bishops. My mother, right there, I love her to death. She has been such a great help with this whole faith talk conversation. But guess what? Today I got my brother here with me. First one, the other big brother, the other brother, the little one, Pastor Normal Oliver. He don't like when I call him little brother. Only reason why I can call him little brother because in fact I'm older than him by a couple months. That's it. Ain't that right, Pastor?
That's right, just a little bit.
Just a little bit. And we got the one, the only, highly anointed, got oil in his voice, oil and power every time he speaks. The one and only Elder Christopher Sinclair. Hey, thank you, Elder, for coming to be a participant on this on today. Thank you so much, sir.
No problem. Glad to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Oh no, thank you. I really appreciate you. Been knowing Elder Sinclair since the days of Jefferson. Don't worry about that. If you don't know what I just said, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just he knows what I'm talking about. The days of Jefferson, okay? All right, that's none of y'all business. Just know Jefferson. That's all of y'all need to know. Uh, I mean, we work hand in hand in the vineyard. We have done great things together in ministry. This man, I really appreciate for all his hard work that he does, his work ethic, his precision. Man, when I say organized, this man is organized. This is the definition of organized right here. I learned a couple of things from him about the way he structured and the way he follows and have everything organized. I learned some little things from him. And I took it. I like, oh, I like that. I want to run with that. Let's run with it. So I admired this, but I want to make sure I give him his roses, and I tell him, hey, when you was working, I was right there watching. And I was following. Like, oh, okay, you taught me something. I like that. I like that, young man. I like that. So greatly appreciate you, man. I know Bishop looking at us right now, like, oh, look at these two boys right here. But
We talking. I almost started looking around. Who are we talking about?
about you. I'm talking about you, brother. Got to give you your honor, man. Got to give you honor. You're a hard worker. You're a dedicated man, a faithful man of God, and I really appreciate your work ethic to the body of Christ. Pastor, we got an interesting topic on tonight. A lot of black males don't understand the basics of the law. They don't understand their rights. They don't know what to do when it comes to handle the right procedures when to go into court. So we're going to address some things, a lot of things that the church don't help or try to avoid, but we need to deal with these things, to be helpful in these times. We got to make sure we give the resources where they need to be. And Elder Chris Sinclair, he is a attorney of law, and he's going to help us out on today. So we're going to start with this. Elder Sinclair, he has this thing that he does on Instagram. It said, "Did you know?" And I follow those. I read those. I like he throwing those little tidbits. I'm like, I didn't know that. Thank you. And and then it's kind of so funny happened that someone say something in the midst of a conversation like, "Oh, if you do this," and I'd be like, "See, he taught me something else." I got that from Chris. So this is what we want to do. This dude, I don't know if you did one today. I didn't see you post anything today. But this dude, did you know?
Okay.
For believers right now, for they can help them understand about law and why it's so important for them to know their law.
Okay. Well, it's important to know your rights. It's important to know the confines within which you have to operate, and it's important to know the confines within which police officers are supposed to operate. You mentioned Jefferson, during the time of my introduction, when you make it, speaking about me or whatever. One of the things that I employed there was this: I knew what I was supposed to do, and I knew what everybody who worked for me was supposed to be doing. So if I'm walking up and down a situation, and I'm trying I'm not giving away more than you give away, but if I'm walking around in a situation and I see something, I'll know if that's what it's supposed to be or if that's not what it's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? And then as it relates to citizens, police, moving around, whether it's walking, riding a bike, driving, and things of that nature, if you know your role and what you're supposed to do and you know their role, and when I say they, I mean the police, then you're in the best situation. For example, if you get approached by the police and they say, hey, what's your name? It's fine to tell them your name. It's fine to do that. But if they start asking you questions beyond that, you get to trigger certain rights, like, hey, I want my lawyer before you continue to question me. Or if they stop you in a car, like, hey, what crime have I committed? There's certain procedural steps that are there for our protection, that if you don't know what to say and what not to say, you talk away your rights.
Okay, so let's do that. Let's do the basic one. Let's do everyone. A lot of black males get in trouble too with is when they getting pulled over in
Mhm.
the car. Let's go over a scenario. Um, let's say I'm with Pastor Norman. He's driving, not me. He's driving. And he's driving kind of fast. I'm not telling you that he drives fast. All I'm saying is, let's say in this situation, Pastor Norman was driving fast. Okay. And I'm in the car with him, and they pulled him over just because he failed to use his turn signal. He
Okay.
pulls over and everything, and they come up and ask him the normal, license and registration. Sometimes they ask for your insurance, depending on what county you're in or who pulled you over. And he asks, first thing he asks is, "Why did you pull me over?"
Mhm.
Is he in the right?
Yes, sir. It's perfectly acceptable to ask why you're being pulled over, and a reasonable officer will tell you exactly the reason that they stopped you. Now you have rogue officers. You have, as I said in an interview the other day, you have mean, nasty, disgusting people in the world, whether they wear uniforms or not. Okay, let me for this platform. Let me say people who need deliverance in the area of disposition. How about that? There we
Yeah,
go.
there we go.
Oh, we have people with those challenges. So asking why am I being pulled over is perfectly fine.
Okay. So the next thing that he does, he gives the information. As me, as the passenger, do they have the right to ask for my information?
They can ask whatever they want. You can give them your name, but beyond that, that's about it. You're not the driver of the car, and you don't have to kind of acquiesce or comply with whatever the officer is asking for beyond like who you are.
So anyone, like they say, we in the seven passenger and someone in the back seat. Only thing they can ask for is their name.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing though. They can ask whatever they want, but you don't necessarily have to answer.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like not answering may, create some other situation like get out of the car. It can create that situation. And there's a case law, Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania versus Mims said that whenever there's a traffic stop, the officer can ask you out of the car. So they can technically ask you out of the car. But I think one of the main things in this portion of our hypothetical that we're walking through is just stay calm, stay level headed, and that kind of sets the tone for the conversation. So we've already asked. So hey, officer. So why are you pulling me over today? They should give you an answer. Hey, passenger. Hey, who are you? You know, I'm John Doe. How are you? And if, like I said, if they ask anything beyond that, so why are you asking me that? What crime do you think that I'm committing? Just conversation like that is how to, in my view, how to get it off to a good start.
So your tonality, the way you present it, is very key when to addressing authorities.
Oh yeah.
Uh, okay, okay.
Absolutely. Your tone, your demeanor. You don't want to do a lot of moving around. You don't want to do a lot of shifting around. You don't want to do a lot of reaching or anything of that nature, because the way that translates to the police, it's a furtive gesture, and will create a reason for them to ask you out of the car and a proposed reason for them to search you and to search the vehicle. Then we open up a whole other uh, can of worms, if I can say it that way, that could have stayed closed if we kind of operated a little bit differently.
Can they search my car without a warrant?
For a car, yes. Okay. So if they say, "Can I search your car?" is within your constitutional right to say no. Okay. Because if you say no, then you're not automatically giving up those constitutional rights against unreasonable searches and seizures.
Mhm.
But they're supposed to have what's known as probable cause in order to search the car. Okay, so in this hypothetical, if you're pulled over for not using a turn signal, the law says, and there's a case of Arizona versus Gantz that says there's nothing in the car that will give the officer more information or more insight as to why that you failed to signal. There's no reason to believe that a search of the car would bring them any closer to any sort of solution or suspicion or resolution in that situation. So there's no legal right for them to search the car in that hypothetical. But if they say, "Hey, can I search your car?" and you say yes, then you just gave up that right, and they can rummage, they can do whatever they want to do.
Okay. Let's say Norman, because he's a little lighter than me. He says, he used that
Strike
other
one.
strike. Oh, there he goes. Okay. And there's my first strike, everyone. All right, it didn't take long. It didn't take long.
There you go.
He's lighter. He says, no, I'm not allowing you to come in there,
Mhm.
search my car or anything. He's lighter. He can get away with that. But that ain't the point right now. That strike two, it's not there
Close.
yet. That was close. All right, people, keep count. I need everyone in the comment section keep count how many strikes I got. All right. So he says no.
Mhm.
Now the officer feels like he's telling both of us to get out the car.
Mhm.
You're saying that we should comply.
Yes, you should comply because when they ask permission and you say no, that protects your constitutional rights. Okay, so Pennsylvania versus Mim says they can ask you out of the car at a traffic stop. So you say no when they ask for permission. Then they say, "Step out of the car." Yes, sir. Keep your hands up, get out of the car, and whatever they do after that, it's each situation is a little bit different. Like each situation is factually specific. If they do something that they're not supposed to do, they search when they're not supposed to search. That's the issue that I handle when we get to court.
So like when they should not search. Okay, we get out the car.
Mhm.
Same scenario. We out the car because the officer felt like we was being disrespectful. So we get out the car. We start complying, and our hands is on the hood.
Okay.
He has no right to go and search the car right during that time.
In this hypothetical, no, because there's no reason to believe that anything is in the car related to the initial purpose of the stop. They have to have reasonable suspicion, or they have to have a reason to believe that they can say in words that you committed a crime. You
Okay,
know,
what is reasonable suspension? What is that? What is that gray area? That's that gray area that at Jefferson that we like. That gray area. That gray area. What we can do and what we can't do. That gray
right.
area.
So reasonable suspicion is in plain language. It means just an officer looking at the situation, given his training and experience. Is it reasonable for him to believe? Is it logical? Is it fair for him to think that based on what he observed that some sort of criminal activity is happening? It's and reasonable suspicion is the level that comes before probable cause. So probable cause is a crime probably happening. Is the way that I like to explain it. So reasonable suspicion says, what are they doing over there? Let me go investigate. And they can, walk up to you, investigate, ask, certain questions and things of that nature. And then the next level after that is if their questions don't, I'm trying not to use legal words. That's why I'm slowing down a
You
little
know,
bit.
you
If,
good?
if they don't dispel the suspicion, is what the law says, or if their contact with you or the questions that they ask and that you answer don't make them feel comfortable that there's not a crime being committed, then it could elevate or it could go forward toward probable cause, which would give them the right to arrest you, search you, pat you down, and things of that nature.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. All right. So search you, pat you down.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. I didn't hear you. What you
So
say?
actually, with reasonable suspicion, they can do it's called an open-handed pat down of your outer clothing. So it's like one of these situations. Like
Okay.
they're not allowed to like go into your pockets and things of that nature. But if they have a reason to believe that the law says armed and presently dangerous, then they can do an open-handed pat down of your outer clothing, is what the law says.
Okay, so no, they cannot put their hand in my pocket
Nope.
or my suit jacket.
Right. Because
Anything that's covered, they
right,
can't.
they can't do that, but they can do this. And if they feel like a hard metal object that they believe to be a weapon, then they can go in there. You know what
Okay.
I'm saying? But they can only do that. That initial search has to be an open-handed pat
So, are you saying that like in the situation that I experienced last year, where I was driving a rental car, um, police pulled me over and came up to my vehicle. First thing they said was, "Can you step out the car?" I said, "Okay," and they proceeded to open the door. And I asked the officer, I said, "What did I do?" He said, "This vehicle is reported stolen."
down.
Wow, okay. So she handcuffed me and take me back. I was standing in front of her car, or in front of the police car rather. And she asked me some questions. The other officer is uh, getting the VIN number off the car, checking that, and she asked me for my ID. I said, "Well," I said, she asked, "Do I have it?" I said, "Yes, I have it." I said, "But I can't give it to you because I'm handcuffed." And so she says, "Well, where is it?" I said, "It's in my wallet." And she said, "Where's your wallet?" It's in the car. I said, "No," I said, "It's in my back pocket." So if I'm understanding correctly, based upon what you're saying, in that case, she should not have reached in my back pocket and got my wallet and got my ID out.
Just a little bit of a different situation because, like I said, each case is factually specific. So if the car was reported stolen, then they have a arguably reasonable suspicion and probable cause to believe that you're committing a crime of maybe receiving and concealing stolen property, or maybe the unlawful driving away of an automobile, things of that nature. So they have more of a right to a deeper level of intrusion, is what the law says. So it's one of those things where should they go in your pocket? Maybe not necessarily. Is it something that we can sue over, or something that we can fight about in court? Not necessarily.
Right, right. Okay.
Mhm.
Mm.
I
Wow.
was about to get some money. No, I'm just
Right.
He was
Right.
about to use your service real quick. He was like, "Hey, I got this case."
Hey, look, they let me go. Okay, I had proof, rental contract, key to the vehicle. Like we was good. So
Yes, sir. And that's an example of what I was explaining earlier with the different levels of suspicion. Like, starting out with the reasonable suspicion, and asking the questions and things of that nature to see if the suspicion is dispelled, or if it's not dispelled. And that situation is kind of this little gray area, if we use that terminology, between the reasonable suspicion and probable cause. Um, Depends on who you ask as it relates to that. What
because
category falls in.
yeah, because like in that case, they told me I didn't do anything wrong. They said they was literally riding around running plates. That's how they came across me. Like they said, you didn't do anything. If you would have been driving and we wouldn't running plates, we would have never stopped you. So I mean, and that's another thing too. In that case, I know there's been some talks about that, and I have some talks in my family, and I've had conversations with them about it. Um, is it fair per se for police to randomly run plates and then, like, let's say they run plates and, or they, it's not for you running plates. Let's say they ride behind you and see your tags expired and they pull you over for that. How far can that go? I mean, can they, with that, are they able to just deal with that one known thing? If there's none other variables presented, like they don't smell weed or alcohol, there's no signs or anything like that, can they only deal with that one thing, or can that open up the door for other stuff when you start looking per se?
Well, the answer is kind of a combination of both. Can they kind of randomly run plays? Yes, that's fine. And part of this answer kind of relates back to something that Elder Carlton asked a second ago about, do they have to have a search warrant like for a car? And the answer to that is no, because there's a lower expectation of privacy in a vehicle than it is at home or in a building, for example. So the um, presumption is, because you're driving a car, because you're out on public roads, then you open yourself up for a certain amount of police contact. So if the officer sees you, the police see you, they run your plate, they find the expired tag, the no insurance and things of that nature, they can very well pull you over. If they get to the car and they find that you have a valid driver's license, valid insurance, um, or an actually valid plate, and maybe their reader was wrong or something of that nature, then it can stop right there. But if they get to your car door and they look in and they see some foreign white substance in the cup holder, then that opens up, another can of worms. Then
Norman.
yeah, and then she,
Norman knows. He knows. He knows.
Strike two. Strike
Dang.
two.
I tried my best, people. I tried my best. I tried my best. I'm trying to be nice. All right. That is some helpful information right there. I really appreciate that, uh, Elder Chris, on this information that you're presenting onto us today. Because a lot of times, a lot of black males, people in our black culture, they get nervous when they get pulled over. So they do frantic things to cause them to have a difficult situation with the police, with the authority. So we just want to see what tips that you suggest to uh, our our culture, black people, when it comes to authority, especially when you're getting pulled over.
Yeah, I mean, the big one of the biggest things that I can think of at this point is when you drive your car, and the police pull you over, just relax. And we have to practice relaxing. You know what I mean? Like when we
Mhm.
get up to preach our messages, we get up to sing our songs, we get ready to do our presentations. That's not the first time that we've seen that information. It's not the first time that we've heard the intro to the song. It's not the first time that we've seen the text. So it's a situation where once you get in your car and you get pulled over by the police, we can't act like it's our first time. We have to rehearse it may be, not common that you get pulled over, but we can't act like it's an unusual, unfamiliar situation dealing with authority. So we have to remain calm. Is police reports that I read all the time. Person seemed nervous and fidgety, so it made me believe that I had a reason to search the car, which is a pile of crap. But it's
Mhm.
something that officers use against you. So first thing, just remain calm. Don't raise your voice, don't yell, and know your rights. If they, what's a good example? If they if they ask for your license, registration, insurance, give it to them. If they ask to search the car, no, you may not. If they say get out of the car, I'm going to search you anyway. You say okay, and you get out of the car. It's things that you can fight about later. I would say resist the temptation to explain yourself, because when you get the Miranda rights, like you have a right to remain silent. Anything that you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have a right to an attorney. If you can't afford an attorney, won't be appointed to you at the county's expense. Like all of that is true, especially the anything you say can and will be used against you piece. It literally any word you say is going to be included in a police report. And if you don't know the law, you may not really catch the significance of what you're saying. You could be admitting to something. You could be implicating yourself in something. So I say resist the temptation to explain yourself. I had a client one time I will never forget. He was charged with a delivery and manufacturing charge of some controlled substance, and he told the officer he was like, I wasn't going to sell it. My intention was not to sell it. I wasn't going to sell it at all. He said I was going to take it to this party and I was going to share it with everybody, but I wasn't going to sell it. What? Why am I even here? I wasn't going to sell it. Whatever. But they didn't know that delivery includes sharing. Whether somebody's paying for something or not, it includes sharing. So that lack of information led to a conviction because once you get to court, um, let's use the trial burden, for example. They have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you're guilty. And what better way for them to prove that you're guilty by you saying, yeah, I did that. You know what I'm saying? You make the prosecutor's job easy and you make my job very difficult when you make a lot of statements or when you say a lot. Um, you want to be compliant because if they do find something that's, and I'm going back to the inside of the car situation, like if they're asking you out of the car, you want to be compliant because if they do find something, it's very, very easy to add like a resisting and obstructing charge, for example. And that's easy in the sense that if the officer gives you a lawful command and you don't follow it, that's another felony right there. You know what I'm saying? So it's those little tidbits along the way that are helpful.
So
Um,
you just said when I say no, you can't search my car. I come out, I comply, get out the car. They search my car, they find something. Now they can add another charge to saying uh what was it, what you say it again, the resisting, no.
Yeah. So here's
Rest.
the thing. Here's the thing. It's like different levels and grades. So that's why I'm trying to talk slowly. I'm trying to be careful with the facts that I give with the law, because the law is factually driven. So
Hmm.
if the officers ask you, can they search your car? They're asking permission. Just like if I said, hey Carlton, can I come over to the house and have dinner? You have
Sure.
the right to tell. Right. So if you say yes, I'm coming. Sure, I'm ready to eat. Understand? We're about to start out. But at the same time, if you say no, then I have no right to come to your house and expect dinner. You know what I'm saying? So they're asking a question and waiting for an answer. But if they say step out of the car, that's not a question. That's an
As a do.
instruction.
Right.
You
Okay.
see what I'm saying? So in that situation, we want to comply. We want to avoid the knots in our head. We want to avoid getting shot. Things of that nature. So and they get into the car, they find something in the car. Let's say they find a unlawful, unregistered weapon, and you don't have a concealed pistol license. Okay, at minimum, that's going to be a carrying concealed weapon charge.
That's a
Okay,
felony, right?
yes, sir. That's a
Mhm.
5-year felony. So if you have a weapon in the car and you don't have a CPL, if the weapon is loaded and not in a case designed for the transport of a weapon, that's per se carrying a concealed weapon. Now, if you're a felon, then it adds more charges. Felon in possession of a weapon. Okay. So if you get a felon in possession of a weapon, which means you have a prior conviction of a felony and you have a weapon under your control, then that opens you up to a felony firearm charge, which means you're a person in possession of a weapon while committing a felony. So
Mhm.
that's three felonies right there. So if the officer says go sit over there and you walk around the back of the car instead of going to sit over there, then that's a fourth felony. You know what I'm saying? With each of those you can't get a felony firearm for a CCW case, but you can get a felony firearm for the felon in possession, and you can get another felony firearm for the resisting and obstructing a police officer. And the felony firearm has a mandatory 2-year prison term. So knowing the law,
Automatic, you got to go to prison for 2 years.
yep, if you're convicted, you have to go to prison for 2 years, and there's nothing that if there's a conviction, there's no latitude or no discretion from the position of the judge that can get you out of that 2 years. Okay, so just knowing the law, knowing what you can do, what you can't do, it is very helpful in those situations. You don't and if it's like a more serious crime, like if there's a shooting, if there's a homicide, if there's an attempt murder, you don't want to give away information unnecessarily in those situations. Like I had a one case I remember. Certain cases just stick out in your mind over time. I had one case the it was a guy he swore for Jesus that he did not commit a crime. He had nothing to do with it. He was in there giving his mother's phone number, his sister's phone numbers, and everything, his old phone numbers, all of that kind of stuff, talking to the police. And what the police did, they went back and did ran the searches on the numbers to find out who they were registered to, found out where the phones were at the time of the alleged offense, and the information that he gave to those officers was the information that led to his conviction. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
so that's an interesting point because I was about to ask you about phone content,
Mhm.
as far as them can searching your phone as well, so they can.
And you have to have a search warrant for the phone.
Okay.
Yeah, but and here's the thing: they'll ask you like, "Hey, what's your passcode?" If you give it to them, dun, 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 dun,
No.
they go
Right.
right in. But if you don't say anything, then they have to get the search warrant. They have to show a judge there's probable cause that something related to criminal activities inside of that phone. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
it's it can get complicated very very quickly, and seemingly innocuous questions, seeming questions that don't seem to have anything to do with anything, can be used as like kind of steps in the process to get the officers where they're trying to be, and that's through a conviction.
So the best thing to do is just shut up.
Shut up, stop talking so much. That was one of the videos that I put out. Like, stop talking so much. Just stop. Just don't do it.
Mm.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. Well, let me ask you this. Now, I know I have your time. I got a little few more minutes left with you.
Hmm.
Um, let's do this. Let's address the court-appointed attorney
Hmm.
versus getting you your own lawyer.
Yes, sir.
Which one do you recommend?
So of course I recommend retaining counsel. I only take retained cases. I don't take court appointed cases. And the logic for me is you kind of get what you pay for. So
Mm,
if you get if you're a situation where you're going to pay a court appointed, $400 in attorney fees, they're probably going to do $400 worth of work, or maybe less, or they'll have to try. They'll have to go have 20 clients to make the money that they need to make to pay their obligations. For a retained attorney, you may pay 5,000 for that same case, but you're going to get if you get a good attorney like myself, you're gonna shameless plug.
throw your plug in. Throw your plug in.
Right. You're gonna get $5,000 worth of work, and it's like, and you have to, and there's you don't have to take as many cases when you're making that type of retainer to cover what you need to cover and do what you need to do.
Mm,
Mhm. You're
mm.
paying for basically time and attention, really, and that can be from reading discovery, meeting at the office, looking at videos and things of that nature.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Pastor Norm, you have one question for him?
Yeah, I wanted to ask this question as it relates to expungement. I know that especially here, I'll probably say maybe once a year, maybe a couple years, we hear about the city of Detroit, Wayne County offering some kind of expungement for people. How, and I think that some people, they hear it, those who have things that need to be removed from the record that are eligible to have removed, they sometimes have a fear that, that means I got to go back and deal with the court. They shake them out of that experience. But what is that process like to get something expunged off the record compared to, uh, being the suspect, and the one who's being convicted of it? What's the difference what's the difference in the experience that you would go through in the court with that?
Mhm. So if you have a new charge, then you absolutely are a suspect. You're a defendant. You're accused of doing something wrong, and the purpose of you being in court is to determine whether you did what they said that you did. Your head is literally on the chopping block to see what this evidence and what this information shows. When you deal with expungement situations, you've passed that point and you've already served your sentence. So that you're already found guilty, whether it's by a bench trial, jury trial. You've taken a plea, you've completed your sentence, you're all done. With the new expungement laws, for a misdemeanor, 3 years has passed since the end of your sentence. For one felony, 5 years has passed since the end of your sentence. For multiple felonies, 7 years has passed since the end of your sentence. So that's all behind you. So when you stand in front of a judge for an expungement situation, you're saying basically like, yeah, I did some stuff wrong. I've done some stuff that I should not have done, but now we're some time is removed from that, and look what I'm doing now. I'm working, I have a family, I'm doing community service, I'm staying out of trouble. Hey, I'm laying low, I'm staying out the way, and I deserve a second chance. Is basically what you're asking for, and 9 times out of 10, you are in a situation to get that second chance if you pass those initial qualifiers.
And so with the expungement, that after, let's say that you received the expungement, is it true to say that when you are asked that question, whether it be on a job application or by anyone, or if the police stop you, they actually I watched Cops a little bit a few years ago, and they'll actually they knew the answer, but just want to see the person going to say, have you been convicted of a felony? At what point is there a point where, let's say you have the expungement, is your answer no to everybody, or is it different compared to a job? And let's say the police ask you, have you been convicted of a felony?
Well, it really kind of depends on the specific wording of the question, because when you get an expungement, it's wiped off your record. So if it's a question like, "Is there anything on your record?" You're safe to say no. Um, is one of those questions. Is another one of those questions I have to be slow to answer, because if they ask, "Have you ever been convicted of a crime?" the answer is technically yes. But
Right.
when you get an expungement, it's wiped away as though it's not, as though it never happened. So it just kind of really depends on the specificities of the question.
Okay.
Mhm.
Wow. This is great. This is some great information. This is going to be my last question for you, uh, uh, lawyer. This is my last one. Okay. So, um, dealing with the type of clients you have,
Mhm.
uh, are what advice would you give them when heading to court? They just say a regular, just say a misdemeanor case or anything like that, or let's say an assault case or anything like that. What advice would you give them heading into court and how they shall conduct themselves during the court process?
Okay. If you're going to court, be on time. Um, be dressed well. I mean, you don't have to put on a three-piece suit with a tie and the chain and everything like that. But you want to dress a little bit better than jeans and a t-shirt. So polo shirt, khaki pants, dress pants, whatever the case may be. If you're in front of the judge without a lawyer, you want to answer the questions that are specifically asked and resist the temptation to kind of just say to explain or to say whatever is on your mind. Because at the time that you're talking to a judge, there's a record that's being created. Like
Mhm.
you're everything that you say is either a transcriber that's typing out what you're saying, or there's a video of whatever or of whatever you're saying. So answer only the question that you're asked. Remain calm. Resist the temptation to get angry. Resist the temptation to give smart aleck answers, if I can say it that way.
Yeah.
Because sometimes judges are mean. Sometimes they're rude. And if you're there by yourself, you don't want to be in a situation where it's you against a judge. And that's one reason to retain counsel, because I can get away with a little bit more. I was in front of a judge the other day. She was like, "Well, do you want to go to jail?" I said, "Well, if I need to get out, do you accept cash, check, or charge?" I mean, what we doing? You see what I'm saying? But I can do that.
I can't do that. I can't do that.
You can, but just
Like,
know you're gonna be bailiff.
Right. I know my limitations and I know kind of what I can get away with. But if you don't, if you go too far, it's like, you have to be calling for bond. So,
I can't say I can't. Can I cash app you right now? I can't say none of that. No.
I wouldn't recommend it.
All right. All right.
But that's just, I was mad. Like she was kind of going off a little bit, and she was like, "Well, you are gonna find yourself getting out of jail." I was like, "And what's your point? How you want to pay me?" Well, it was doing too much. I probably shouldn't have said that, but whatever. So to answer your question, if you're going to court, be on time, be neat, clean, well dressed, well groomed. Put on your best manners. Act like your mom is standing next to you, or your grandmother, or the church mother is standing next to you. Only um, answer the questions that are specifically asked. Resist the temptation to ramble and say whatever it is that you want to say. Um, and ideally, retain counsel to go in there with you so you don't go alone. Not necessarily the greatest situation to be in court alone.
Right.
One of the things is, and here's the thing, it applies to this question and what we talked about earlier, is 9 times out of 10, if you think you're outsmarting the police or outsmarting the judge or lawyer, 9 times out of 10, you're not. You know what I'm saying? They probably know something that you don't know, or it's probably something that you're saying that you probably shouldn't say. The police officer, they're legally allowed to lie to you to get you to talk. They're legally allowed to.
Say that one more time. Say it again. Say it again for the people in the back row. They
Yeah,
don't understand that.
yeah. So police officers are legally allowed to lie to you. They can manipulate you just to get you to talk. As long as they Mirandize you and you say it after you've been Mirandized, they can use it. You're like, oh, we know you did it. Oh my God, I'm sorry. That's an admission. You know what I'm saying? So to put it colloquially, just say less. And a step above that is go in there with your lawyer. Don't go in there by yourself trying to fight it out, because you're probably gonna mess something up, unintentionally. You find out later, like, oops, maybe I shouldn't have said that.
Yes, yes, yes. You know what? This is what I want to say. I'm asking for everyone. If you're not following Christopher Sinclair on Instagram, please go follow him. Go ahead, give your information, Sinclair. Oh, I'm also endorsing this man. Okay, all right. Go get that retainer. He's the one. Go get him. Okay. To say I have a lawyer. His name is Chris Sinclair. He'll be down here in a second. And then send that 5,000 right along with it. Go ahead, go ahead and send that 5,000 because he's going to do the work for you. And I'm telling you, his work ethic is superb. I support this man's work ethic and his way he organized and the way he followed throughs. He is superb. When I say kingdom excellence in those fields. And what I'm telling you, I love that's what I love about this man. I like his mindset. I like how he flows. He's organized, he's prepared, and he understands what he needs to do. I like it.
I appreciate that.
Call Sinclair, he'll be there.
call
Got
Sin- call Sinclair. He be there. I saw him on Fox 2, and I'm like, I know that man. And I knew when I saw the suit, I was like, oh, that's Chris.
Yeah.
That's Chris. I know that's Chris right there. I was like, oh, okay.
Somebody asked me, they're like, well, why did you wear that suit? I said, because it's the one I felt like putting on. That's the question. I probably should not be sharing all that I'm sharing, but it happened.
Hey, man, it's good, man. It's nothing but love. It's nothing but love here, and we really appreciate you for just sharing with us. Trust me, you'll be the first number I'll be calling if a rider would Pastor Norman he get pulled over and I'm in the car. I'm calling you. I'm just gonna. They say ask my information. I like Sinclair. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm like Chris Sinclair. They're gonna leave me alone. All right, that's the way it
I
should.
want my lawyer.
I want my lawyer.
Yes. Oh, but to answer your question, my Instagram is CL_Sinclair ESQ. CL_ Sinclair ESQ. My website, SinclairLawPLLC.com. SinclairLawPLLC.com. Sinclair is SINCLAIR. Or call me if you have questions, 8662 Sinclair. 866, the number 2, Sinclair.
You see how that flows. 8662, the number 2. You see how that flows? Oh man, he big time.
I'll probably have to call you. I'll probably have to call you by the end of the week dealing with this. He only got 1 strike left, so
Right.
I'll probably have to call you for myself.
Hey, you know this is on recorded. You know this is on recorded, right? I'm not like Tupac. I ain't gonna say Suge shot me. All I got to say is everything. I'm like it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Everybody know. Everybody on Facebook is my witness. Everybody, like, yeah, I remember he said he got 1 more strike. He was gonna get him.
Right. I didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything.
Oh, you didn't see or anything. All right.
Anything. I didn't hear anything. He was just joking when he's talking about the strike. It's my understanding he's a baseball fan, and he just relates that to different situations. And there was a reward that was associated with the strikes. Like, one person had to buy the other person dinner if they made 3 strikes. Judge, it was just all innocuous comments and behavior.
See, you see this? You see this?
I like him already. I like him already. I ain't going to jail today.
Oh my God.
Today.
Oh man. You know what? Lord, please help me. Lord, please help me. Please help me. But thank you so much. Give us closing remarks, Sinclair, and then Pastor Norman, give us closing remarks, then we can wrap this up.
Okay, so again, I would just thank you for the invitation to be here tonight. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I hope that some information that I shared, one of the stories that I shared, will be helpful to somebody who's listening. I believe that one of the ways out of the situations that we found ourselves in America as it relates to police brutality, all the negativity associated with police and citizens and things of that nature, one of the ways out is knowledge and information. And I use it interchangeably. Once you know your rights, it's not a lot that will drastically impact you in a negative way, because you know how to carry yourself, you know how to respond, and you know to call for counsel, at the right times, to make the best out of what can be a bad situation. So, as the saying goes, knowledge is power. So you got to use that knowledge, use that information to get where we're trying to be. And in some situations, that the place that we're trying to be is home safely at the end of every night. So again, thank you for the opportunity to speak. Hope this was helpful. Have any questions? I gave my information for you to reach out to me, and may the Lord bless you and keep you is my prayer in Jesus' name.
Hey man, and I echo what he said. Is that know the law, and most of all, even if you know the law, still comply, still do what you're supposed to do. As he said earlier, you can fight that battle later, but we're trying to make it home. And so we sometimes do ourselves a disservice. He said sometimes we talk too much, and when we shouldn't talk. So just make sure that we just know the law, be compliant, and we ain't got to prove that we right in that present moment, but just do the right thing. even if the other officer's wrong, even through the irritation, aggravation, uncomfortability, just do the right thing to make sure that you make it home safe and that you don't become a poster or a story of the news, and this question whether you were right or wrong. Just do the right thing and, like I said, know the law and make sure that you abide by it too, not just know what they can't do, but know what you're supposed to do too. And I think all will ultimately be well in all things.
Right, right. And just main thing, just shut up.
Mhm.
They was nice with it. Just shut up. God darn it. Don't just shut up. This just shut up. All right. And then call Chris. All right.
Right.
He got you the rest of the way. Just shut up.
Yep.
This is it.
And tell
And
them not to call me.
man, they just tell him to call you. You know what I'm saying? That's all you gotta do. Just shut up. All right. And you gotta understand this. The Bible tells us the Lord will fight our battles.
Mhm.
Now God has given us Chris Sinclair.
Mhm.
He's here to fight our battles. So
Exactly.
just shut up. There we go. Just shut up. All right. This has been fun. This has been real. Chris, whenever you got some more free time, we'd like to do this again. I want to make sure we deal with some other things for to help out our culture, help the church as well, for they to understand because a lot of us get pulled over. A lot of us got bad driver's license, still go to church and get pulled over. I never said that happened to me, but it might happen to Pastor Norman. But I'm just saying.
I'm
Anyway,
legit out here.
anyway, I would like for us to come back again. Everyone, go follow him on Instagram. Trust me, you're gonna see his commercials on Fox 2 because I see him all the time. And pretty much you know his numbers. They say 866-2 Sinclair. Okay, that's what it is. That's the telephone number if you need to reach out to this brother. Again, I will post up his information on the Congress service page. I just want to get with him for he can give me the information. I will post that for everyone to have that information because we want to make sure you reach out to this man of God. I say a man of God who is fighting in the trenches for us. So we got to go support this man of God. So especially your cousin Ray Ray, Pookie, Tisha, Dominique, Kelly, all those people, likes to get in trouble. They got the retainer. They got the retainer money. So he will help them out. All right. So we love y'all. Be blessed, be safe, be smart, and shut up in these times. All right. You like that one. Oh, you can put that in the commercial. Put it in the commercial.
Right.
No, man. Don't put it in the commercial. Don't put it in the commercial. Well, anyway, we thank you, Chris, again for coming on. Pastor Norman, love you, man. I'm on strike 2. I got one more to go for the rest of the week. All right. Everybody, see you. Salute you. Good night.
Good night.